I hear the keyword already. Unchanged something, right? Yes, very good.
Hi, parents. We're gonna start in 2 minutes, and it will go live in IB, in FB. Sorry. Hi, parents. We're gonna start very soon. I think you've seen the video a few times. There are a few parents from Young Minds. I think there are 50 parents in Young Minds, but not quite a number have signed up. But eventually, I think usually on the Saturday is really busy. Okay, so we're going to give it all and share everything that we know within that an hour or an hour 15 minutes, and you can ask questions. In fact, you can ask questions right now. So we just want to thank Young Minds. It's on FB Live right now, so there will be more than the parents that we can see here, because in FB Live, we are also going to share with about 20, 25 parents, primary school groups. And so quite a number of parents will also be with us on FB Live. So thank you. If you are on FB Live, we can't really see or acknowledge you right now, unless I go to my Facebook in my handphone, but there will be a staff managing the questions from the FB Live. We'll not be able to see your FB Live questions in the chat, but certainly I will also have a look at my phone, all right, when you have questions. So thank you, parents, again. Thank you to Young Minds in collaboration with Young Minds, the preschool at Woodlands. And so this is the first time we are partnering a childcare operator or business. And this is in fact our new topic, right? We have not done this topic at Cher Online. So it's going to be amazing. All right, can I just ask the parent, if you can, at the chat box, just say hi. If you want to, you can say your name. If not, if you can, just say hi or something. Then we are going to start very shortly. Say hi, your name or your child's name. That will be really awesome. Okay, if not, then I'm going to start. Everyone is all right. And also at the Facebook Live, nice to see you again. All right, hi, I'm Andrew. I'm going to start right now. Okay, so do keep your questions coming in regards to how to prepare your child for primary one. Okay, if there's anything, do just write it down in the chat box. All right. All right. Okay, I'm pretty excited. Of course, we hope to expect more from Young Minds to join us, but if they can't, this session is being recorded so that parents from Young Minds, parents from the FB Live, our own Cher Online parents will be able to view this video. Okay, we put a lot of time and hours into the preparation because we want to add very great value, okay, to parents who are attending this. Or when we archive it, edit it, we can use it for our playlist in our YouTube channel. Okay, now I want to say hi to parents again, and thank you once again to Young Minds for this collaboration, and our principal Sheila, all right, for this collaboration. Okay, now today we have Mrs. Yeo, Mrs. Jenny Yeo, an ex-MOE principal. I'm sure you have seen her profile when we send you the link and also the e-poster. Okay, so Mrs. Yeo is our consultant and also sit in our board of advisors. So I'm very happy and privileged to have her with us at Cher Online. And then we have teacher Jobeth, and the word Cher Online comes from the word teacher. Okay, so Cher Online. So sometimes at school we call our teacher, Cher, can you please help me with my homework? Okay, so I think it's a really cool name for children to be at cher.com, right, to learn with us. Okay, so teacher Jobeth Williams will be here shortly. She's having a lesson right now, and she's going to go through very quickly her slides and about preparing your children for primary one. Oh, she's here already. Hello. because I think I minimized my video box. Okay, great. So wonderful. She is our head of English at Cher Online. Very happy that, you know, she is with us, you know, doing the curriculum, heading the department, getting the teachers on board. So it will be a wonderful session. Very experienced English and literature teacher at MOE, and now it's so wonderful that we have an amazing curriculum as well as teaching standards, you know, delivering good content. So thank you, Jobeth. And then I have Mr. Dicky Lim. Mr. Dicky Lim, yeah, it's going to join us full time in 1st December. Okay, not yet real full time yet, just 1 foot in, but he's going to be fully in with Cher Online. So thank you, Mr. Dicky Lim, for joining us, a friend of many, many years. All right, so he's ex-MOE teacher, subject head, PSLE, supervisor for marking, and so he'll be sharing with you about math for primary 1 and primary school. Okay, now, so this is what I have for you. 16 years in MOE, ex-vice principal of secondary school, and also taught at NIE International as an external consultant. So it has been a privilege to start Cher Online. Okay, so that's my profile. And then, of course, Mrs. Jenny Yeoh, which I've just shared with you. This will be a more detailed description. Now I'm going to jump straight in, right, to get Jobeth to share. I think that should be the next slide. Okay, no, not yet. This is who we are, what we do. So earlier on, I just played the video. And again, I just want to say hi again for parents who just join us from Young Minds, and many other parents in our FB Live, and also the other parenting group, Facebook group, which I think we have shared. If I'm not wrong, it's 20 or 25 groups of Facebook parenting group. So if you're joining us at FB Live, we can't really see you or acknowledge you here using Zoom, but welcome to our FB Live. Okay, so we are a team of ex-MOE teachers, head of department, school leaders. So we are doing P4, P6, going secondary school, as well as IGCSE, and we will quite certainly, I think, start P3 later part of next year. Okay, so this is who we are. Okay, all yours, Cher Jobeth Williams. Then you can go for class. Can't hear you now. Sorry, I think, are you muted? Let me check. Can Dicky hear Jobeth? Can you all hear me? I'm sure you all can hear me. If not, by now you should have raised. But I can't hear you, Jobeth. How about Dicky? Maybe unmute yourself. Let's test our microphone, but no.
I cannot hear teacher Jobeth.
Okay, we can hear you, Mr. Dicky. Let's see. Maybe Jobeth has to go out and come in again. I don't know.
Hello?
Oh, now we can. Yeah.
Can? Okay, great. Thanks, Andrew. I just unplugged and plugged in my headphones and it worked. Okay, good morning, parents. It's nice to have you with us this morning. I just came from one lesson and I'll be running off to another lesson at 12. So this is my in-between slot. So today I just want to very quickly go into preparing your kids for P1 English. So I'm assuming that most of you will have children in K2. I can fully empathize with all of you. My own daughter is also in K2, also moving to P1 next year. So I entirely and fully feel the pain and stress of trying to get ready for P1. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure that all of you have had your online orientations, admin day, etc. So it's quite a headache and quite a stressful period for everyone. All right, so I just want to talk to you very quickly about how we can prepare or how we can get our kids ready for primary 1. What is expected of them at an MOE school, a typical MOE school? What kind of level are they supposed to be at? So this slide is actually taken from the MOE pre-primary 1 slides. Okay, so they were addressing myths about what level our kids should be at, how good should our kids be in English before they start primary school. So this myth, I think people said that, oh, I think they thought that children should be able to read, speak, and write in full sentences in English before they start primary school. So I think it's very clear that on the MOE side, children are not expected to be at this level. They do not necessarily need to read, speak, and write in full sentences. I think that in Singapore, a lot of our kindergartens and our preschools, we really want to make sure that our kids are not falling behind. They want to make sure that the kids are prepared as much as they can before they get into primary school. However, if you find that your child is still a little bit, hasn't really met this milestone yet, you don't have to worry, okay? Worldwide, I think most children actually only start reading and writing between 6 to 8 years old. So in Singapore, we do tend to, I think, be a little bit, in Singapore, we say kiasu, right? A little bit worried. We want to make sure that our kids are pushing them as far ahead as possible. But if they are going into primary school without being able to read or write or speak full sentences, it's not really a huge problem, okay? Most importantly, they do need to be able to express their personal needs and wants, okay? They need to be able to say, to tell a teacher, for example, I need to go to the washroom. They need to be able to say, oh, I like this book or I don't like this book. They should be able to respond to simple questions. So the teacher asks them, for example, what did you eat for lunch yesterday? The child should be able to respond. So I think 99% of kids at primary 1 level, going to primary 1 level, usually by this time, they can manage all these things. They should be able to share personal experiences, so talk about things that they have done, talk about things that they have experienced. They may, for example, tell you about the plot of a story that they have read or about a story that they have watched on TV. Okay, next slide, please, Andrew. All right, so ideally, when we're talking about entering primary school, we do hope that these are the milestones that your child has reached. So not necessary to read, speak, and write in complete sentences, but they must at least be able to read and recognize the alphabet. So from A to Z or A to Z, they should be able to recognize and read basic words. So when we talk about basic words, a lot of parents are like, what do you mean by a basic word? A basic word is usually a CVC word. CVC means consonant, vowel, consonant. So words like cat, C-A-T, words like dog, D-O-G, words like pet, P-A-T, where you have a consonant and then a vowel and then a consonant. So generally these words, they should be able to read. If they can read slightly longer words like 4-letter words, 5-letter words, that's great. They may not be able to read entire sentences fluently, but they should be able to pick out individual words. Okay, alphabet is definitely, they must be able to recognize the alphabet, both uppercase and lowercase. All right, they should be able to understand and follow basic grammar rules. This sentence always scares a lot of parents, right? They always like, oh, they need to understand grammar rules. But understanding and following basic grammar rules is as simple as putting together a regular sentence. So like instead of saying, lunch I have eaten, right? They should be able to say, I have eaten lunch. Or even if they speak Singlish, I eat lunch already. I know a lot of us do speak Singlish at home. So even if they do speak in Singlish, I eat lunch already, that is still a very basic grammar structure. I ate lunch or I eat lunch already. It follows a sequence that is quite straightforward. So from the sentence, I eat lunch already, all they have to do later on is to learn that eat should be past tense. I ate lunch already. Okay, so it's not too, you don't have to worry too much if you find that your children are speaking a lot of Singlish at home, or you find that they have picked up Singlish in school and they bring it back. It is still a stepping stone to grammatical structure. In fact, in itself, Singlish has its own grammatical structure, so that is definitely a step towards proper grammar. Okay, now thirdly, we do need them to understand how stories and narratives work, which means that they should understand that there are characters in the story. They should understand that in stories, what things happen are not always real. They should be able to understand that there are supporting characters like a mom or a dad. They should understand that usually there is a problem in the story that needs to be solved by the end of that story. Okay, so generally this is quite simplistic. it sounds like a lot, but really most of your children should already be meeting these milestones. Okay, so if you find that, maybe your children are not quite there yet, how can you get them to reach these milestones? Or how can you enforce learning in your own time whenever you're at home or whenever you're out? So wherever you go with your children, do get them to identify letters very casually. Parents, try not to make it into a very formal learning situation. We really want to make it fun, we want to make it casual, we want to make it incidental. So everywhere we go, there will be signs, there will be posters and advertisements like the one I've shown here, this Lyft advertisement. Okay, so get them to identify letters, ask them to read, for example, oh, where do you see the letter S? Okay, so get them to pick out all the letter S's in the signage. If they can read, for example, on the right side, you see for sensitive skin. Okay, sensitive is a little bit hard, it's a long word. Ask them to read the word for, ask them to read the word skin. Okay, and then guide them through the word sensitive. So, oh, okay, we see an S there. What sound does the S make? Okay, sensitive. So it's always easier to break up long words into short sections, okay, syllable by syllable, work through it together with them. If you find that your kids are getting stressed, if you find that they're very, upset because they cannot handle it, it's okay, parents, walk away, move on with something else. Try not to make it a stressful situation where you are getting frustrated and they get frustrated, and then they start to associate reading and learning with a kind of frustration and upsetness. Okay, so if they feel very pressured by longer words, definitely it's okay, move to shorter words. Show them that they are capable of reading the short words, capable of reading simpler words before you move on to more difficult things. Also remember, parents, that English is in itself a very complicated language. We have a lot of exceptions when it comes to spelling, like laundry, for example. Anybody who is just starting out will look at that word laundry and they may say it laundry. All right, that's perfectly normal. If your children read it as laundry or laundry, that's okay. Tell them, good, I'm glad you read it this way. This is a step because you've applied your understanding of how the word dry is pronounced. And then you try to, use the understanding to read the word laundry. So you tell them, yes, good try. I know why you did this. You did this because the word dry is read that way. But you know what? This is read in a very different way. This is pronounced laundry. So we see that there is more than one pronunciation to a particular syllable. Okay, it is difficult. It is tricky. Acknowledge that it is difficult. Tell them, yes, some words are a little bit harder, but we can get there. The more you practice, the more you read, the more you exercise that reading muscle, we definitely can learn all the exceptions. Another thing that my kids love to do is that they like to play word games. So for example, we see the word for. Oh, okay, we have the word for. Tell me what word rhymes with the word for. And then my child will think, oh, door. Great, okay, my turn. What rhymes with the word door? I'll be like, oh, floor. So we go on and we see who runs out of rhyming words first. Usually I win. It's not a very fair game, I acknowledge. But it's definitely a way to get them thinking about sounds, about pronunciations. The good thing about rhyming words is that they come up with words that are not necessarily spelt the same. So you see the word door. It's not spelt the same way as the word floor. It's not spelt the same way as for, and not even the same way as the number 4. All right, so it's a good way also to get them to think about spellings and how different spellings are also pronounced different ways. I Spy is another game we like to play. I spy something green, and then your child has to look around and say, is it a tree? Is it a patch of grass? Is it the door over there? So these helps just because it kind of gets them to exercise their observational skills. This is also important in English. Categories is a game we like to play. If I tell them, okay, I see an animal, or I'm thinking of an animal, and then they have to guess what animal it is. And then they have to ask me questions. Does it have 4 legs? I say, yes. Oh, it's 4 legs. And they say, does it have horns? No. So you keep asking questions, and this helps them to sort out and categorize things in their heads. What are categorized under animals? What animals have horns? What animals have fur? What animals have scales? So this also bleeds into a little bit of science, a little bit of even mathematics, where you get them to sort out, to organize, to categorize. It is a great skill for them to learn. It's a great skill for them to apply to not just English, but other subjects as well. All right, for those parents who feel that their kids are not reading enough, maybe not so keen on reading or not so keen on books, it really is a matter of integrating the habit into your daily life. Okay, so Singapore is outfitted with loads of fantastic public libraries, and this is I think this is the VivoCity Library. It's an amazing library. We've got the Sengkang Library, Woodlands, our National Library. They've all been outfitted with really, really very conducive environments for reading, for choosing books. You can see that in this picture, all the book covers are facing front so that children can look at the book covers and choose the books they like. This is also a good thing to do at home. Sometimes the children find that with the spines out, they can't really see what the book is about. They can't really identify what they want. So it's good to pick a few books, 1 or 2 books, and have them with their book covers facing outwards. It helps them to see the book and to think, oh, this is something that I might want to read. All right, so make regular trips to the library. My kids, we go to the library every 2 weeks. We borrow 21 books or 22 books at a time. You know, within the 2 weeks, we are finished with them. They go back in exchange for more. Now, I know that parents, maybe you can't go as often or you can't finish that many books. It's okay. Pick as many books as you can finish within those 1 or 2 weeks. I think actually now the borrowing,
Yeah, it's very high.
I think it's like
gone up.
3 or 4 weeks, actually. It's quite long. So you don't have to feel too stressed about it. Whatever you can complete, whatever you can manage, that is better than nothing at all. All right, it's also very important to model reading behavior at home. So even for yourselves, pick up a book, parents, show your kids that you are reading,
Yes.
read magazines, read the newspaper. Generally, for myself, I like to read on my e-reader, my Kindle. I also read on my iPhone. But a lot of children don't really associate electronic devices with reading. So it is good to pick up, hard copies once in a while. Show your kids that you're reading. It's very important to model that good reading behavior. Now, also definitely, if you can set aside some time to read with your children, to sit down and read whatever books they have, it's really good to sit down and read to them either before bedtime, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, whenever you can manage. It's also good to discuss the stories that you're reading. So it's not just about reading the book and getting through the book, but also about talking about it. Ask your child, what did you enjoy about this book? Look at the pictures and say, oh, look at this picture of this boy. What do you think he's feeling? Why do you think he has this expression? Why is he feeling this way? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? Do you think this was the right thing to do? Do you think this was a good thing to do? What do you think he should do next? So it's all about getting them to interact with the story, not just about getting through the book, but interacting with the story, getting them to predict logically what would happen next, how they feel about the book, how they feel about the character. You can even ask them, what would you do instead if you were this child? Would you have shared your things with the boy? Do you think that was a good idea? Ask them to give opinions, ask them to make predictions. Definitely make use of the pictures. I think at this level, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, they still usually read books with pictures in them. That's perfectly fine. Okay, I think that it's not very helpful for parents to compare with other kids, to say, oh, this other parent's child is reading Harry Potter. No, I'm not kidding. I have friends whose kids at 7 years old already getting through the Harry Potter series. And then you start to get worried and anxious, like, oh, this other kid is reading Harry Potter.
Scary.
They're reading Roald Dahl. My kid is so far behind. No, I think this is really unhelpful for us to compare. Definitely at this age, between 6 to 10, even 6 to 12, our kids do progress at very different rates. And I think the good thing about primary school is that it is usually catered to quite a low common denominator. So to say that we don't want to make sure that anyone is left behind. Okay, most of the time, I think the problem is that the faster kids will tend to feel bored in school because we are going at a slower pace. We're going at a pace that we hope the slower kids can catch up to. So it's really not a matter of comparing to the best kids, Don't feel so anxious about it. Let your child progress at whatever rate they're progressing. It's all about encouraging them in their rate of progression. Make sure that you are reading books that are appropriate for their level. So not to rush them into non-picture books. Don't rush them into chapter books. If they have not yet conquered a picture book, let them conquer it. Let them feel comfortable reading before you move them onto something a little bit more difficult. All right, so it's really just about trying to encourage our kids to inculcate that reading habit into their daily lives, to not feel daunted. Don't feel afraid when it comes to books, to feel that, I can do it, read a book that is appropriate for them rather than to get nervous and worried and scared about reading. So reading is really very important in terms of grammar, in terms of vocab, in terms of learning concepts, learning about the world. Reading is really the easiest, most fun, best way of helping our kids to pick up English, to make sure that they are equipped for primary school. All right, that's all I have for you. I'll pass you back to Andrew. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Okay,
Andrew, take it away.
Yeah, you have to go soon, right? We can maybe have one question because Teacher JoBeth has a virtual
Meet the
event,
parents
meet the
section.
parents for kids.
my
And then
child.
after that, she has a lesson at 12 o'clock, right?
Yes.
So parent, just one, because after that, she will not be here to answer your question. Just one question. You can unmute yourself or put it in the chat box about reading, about speaking English. Any parent, only one question. Anyone?
Hi, I'll take the one question.
Okay,
I'm
Yes.
Jeff.
Jeff. Wonderful, Jeff.
So
Go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to ask JoBeth. My son is into reading Dogman right now.
Oh,
You know about that book?
yes.
So I am happy but yet worried because the contents and the grammar used by the writer is a bit
Yep.
not the norm.
Mm.
So I want to hear from you. How do I go about this? If you can offer some advice. Thank you, JoBeth.
I definitely agree with you. I think I have so many kids reading Dogman. It is definitely not the best because, as you said, a lot of inconsistencies with capitalization, a lot of slang use, it's a lot of sentence fragments. However, I would say that we also need to remember that reading is also something they need to do for fun. And if we take away all these fun books from them and we don't allow them to read fun books, or we don't allow them to read what everyone else is reading, it can kind of kill that joy for reading. It can kind of prevent them from continuing to read. So while you continue to allow them to read Dogman, you do let them know, hey, do you see this I, for example, I always has to be capitalized. So mention it to them along the way. They definitely know it. They are able to identify that there are differences. So it's important that you as a parent also step in and tell them, you know why this is wrong? Do you know why this is not correct? If you had to rewrite this, how would you rewrite it perhaps? Or what do you think is wrong with this sentence? At the same time, do try to encourage them or introduce them to other books. So when I was young, my mom didn't like me to read Enid Blyton books because she thought they were very simplistic. They thought they were very easy. So the more she told me not to read them, the more I went to read them. That's the nature of children, right? So definitely, I think don't take them away, but do encourage them to pick up other books as well. Definitely, Dogman is not the best, but also remember, reading is for fun. If this is the only book they are reading, at least they are reading.
Okay, thank you. I know, JoBeth, you're running
Yes,
out of
yes,
time.
I gotta
With
go.
another question, I will just answer it. But
Thanks.
yeah,
Thank you.
any
All
other
right.
question, you can we'll ask JoBeth later on via our email. Thanks. Thank
No
you,
problem. See you.
JoBeth. Thank you, Jeff, for the
Thanks.
wonderful question. And I know there's a question in the chat box by Marius about dealing with special spelling inconsistencies. Yeah, perhaps I'll just give a one-liner, answer, but certainly you can also WhatsApp us later and email to JoBeth. Okay, so for spelling inconsistency, I mean for English in general, is about not just the word recognition, but it's also about the shape of the word. So for example, like now I'm reading, I'm looking at my screen now, it's actually Jeff To. His name just appeared in front of me, or Dicky, or Wei Fen, or Che Online. Okay, so it's not just about the spelling, but it's also about the shape of the word. So the more you read, the more you get used to that word, the more you get used to the spelling, then the better you get, And then also when you see very long word like inconsistencies, right? You wrote that right down, so because you've seen the word many times, the shape of the word does, in your brain, so to speak, right, internalize. So that's the reason why we encourage a lot of reading. The more you read, the more you are used to that particular word, the more you recognize the shape of the word, the combination of the word. The more you're exposed to it, the more you're writing that particular word and you use it, then it becomes internalized and no one can take it away from you or from your child. Okay. So thank you, Marius. I hope I have answered your question somewhat, but certainly we can go further ahead if you want to have a chat with JoBeth via email and all that. Okay, now for those who have just joined us at FB Live or even the Young Minds, I am Andrew. I'm the CEO of Cher Online, ex-vice principal, and we just had our English head JoBeth to share with us. And just want to welcome also to a Facebook Live all the audience and parents. Very happy you all are streaming in. We hope that 11 o'clock is not too early. Now I'm going to hand over this time to our consultant, Cher Online consultant and board of advisor, Jenny Yeo, Mrs. Jenny Yeo. She is a veteran educator of, I think, 40 years. Okay, very, very outstanding principal, and which I've introduced earlier. But for those who have just joined us, Mrs. Yeo will be sharing about P1 prep and also the journey at P1, how you as a parent can journey and support your child. She is a principal of a number of primary school, so she's very experienced. Do write your question in the chat box as she shares her slides with you. Okay, Mrs. Yeo, Jenny, are you there? You're going to share screen, and then you can start. Okay, let me share screen. Okay, will we be able to see you, Jenny? These are your slides. And can I encourage the rest of you to just write in the chat box your question, maybe a quick one, and even say hi as we wait for Jenny to come on screen. I'm not too sure whether she has any issue with her mic, but yes, wonderful. Now we can see you, Mrs. Yeo. You just need to unmute yourself. So we are all ready.
Can you see and hear me now?
Yes, we can. Wonderful.
Okay.
You look so wonderful.
All right, I can't see myself. I don't know why. Okay, right. Okay, thank you parents for choosing to spend your time on Cher to learn how to prepare your child for primary education. Do we really need to prepare our child to transit from the kindergarten to a primary school? Let me begin by sharing with you short stories about two students who came to my school when I was a principal in Singapore. Right, the first story is about Anastasia. Anastasia is an interesting girl because she's a Russian, and the father was posted to Singapore University to teach maths. The father chose to put the child in a government school and came to Radin Mas Primary. So when Anastasia came to my school, I knew it would be very difficult for her to adapt to a new environment and to a much bigger primary school. So what I did is I personally went out and brought her up to the hall for the assembly. And I noticed that Anastasia was a very sweet looking, timid little girl. She's nervous. I could feel that she was cold and her hand felt very cold. And I brought her up to the hall. She at first refused to enter. And when I asked her why, she said she was afraid. And poor girl, do you know, I could feel that she was shivering from inside her body by holding her hand. She was literally trembling. Poor girl. And I had to bring her to the teacher and actually told the teacher to hold her hand, introduce a girl to be her buddy, and pay special attention to Anastasia. Because for Anastasia, she came from a very small kindergarten in Russia, and she's in Singapore, a foreign country, a totally new environment. And when she entered a primary school, which is quite huge in Singapore, about 1,000 strong, she was terrified. So this incident actually helped me to understand that sometimes as parents, we think that, oh, don't worry, they will just know how to, adapt easily into a school. Not really. From her experience and from some other children that I've come across, children are different. Some may be an extrovert and they find it easy to adapt, but there are some who are introverted and they are timid and frightened. So we need to prepare our kids to transit from a small kindergarten to a primary school. And Timmy is another person I'd like to share with you. Timmy is a Singaporean boy. He was terrified after joining the school in primary 1 for 1 week. He began to have nightmares and he started sleepwalking. And when I spoke to the mom said, actually, Timmy was not used to teachers raising their voices, scolding the children in the class, shouting at them when they don't behave. She was terrified, and he even tried not going to school. So Timmy wasn't prepared to face a different situation. He was not prepared emotionally to understand that sometimes the teachers in a bigger school environment, a class of 40, had to raise their voice to control the class, to discipline the class. So these 2 stories actually helped me to remember that we should actually help our children transit from a small school environment in the pre-primary to the primary school. So let's get started. How do we get our child ready for primary school? All right, next slide. So you must understand that at this time, your child is in his or her formative years, is in his early stages of learning, and your child will be discovering his abilities, talents through the school's programs, activities, as well as the curriculum. Right, what are the aims of primary education? They are, 1, to nurture the whole child holistically, right? 2, lay a strong foundation in the early years of formal education. And 3, prepare the child for the future. Right, next slide, please. In order to prepare our young for the future, the World Economic Forum spelled out the key competencies to equip our students with so that they can be prepared to join the workforce in the global economy in the future. So what are the key competencies? They are mainly communications, collaboration, and info skills, civic literacy, global awareness, and cross-cultural skills, as well as critical and inventive thinking. Schools will be focusing on balancing knowledge with skills and values to help a child to be a confident person, self-directed learner, an active contributor, and a concerned citizen. What will primary school education be like for your child? Next slide, please. Schools will provide student-centric, values-driven education, and they will focus on promoting joy in learning, as well as encourage lifelong learning. And teachers will be coming out with more engaging teaching methods, introduce programs for active learning, enhance school facilities will be done by MOE to help school prepare for a more interesting learning environment, right? Instead of just pen and paper exams and tests, holistic assessments are already introduced into schools so that you get a better view and understanding of your child's progress in his education journey. And schools will also need to place greater emphasis on character and citizenship education. All right, so we want to ensure that the teachers do not just teach the academic and subjects, but also focus on values and building strength of character. Right, teachers make lessons come to life. Schools are very different from the times when you were in school. It's very exciting now. All right, when child goes to school, your child will be engage in lessons and will find their life in school interesting. There will be active and creative learning strategies used by teachers. They will also introduce investigative tasks, experiments for science. Role play and drama will be something that teachers will use to engage your children in learning. And many schools introduce outdoor activities to teach children lessons. Next slide, please. Right. There's this PAL that's introduced in school. It's called Program for Active Learning. So now when you go to school, it's not just chalk and talk method of teaching, learning by memorizing, but special programs and activities will be introduced into schools to ensure that there are more opportunities for your child to participate in non-academic activities during curriculum time, so that your child would discover new interests, develop a range of skills to build a character. And this PAL will be introduced progressively in schools, and more programs will be introduced too. Right, next. The Ministry of Education has been supporting school by providing funds to enhance school facilities to support holistic learning. So now you find that all schools are single session now. During my time, it was double session school, but now all schools are single session. And school hours may be extended by 1 or 2 hours on certain day for non-academic activities, but it is not a full day school. Right, next. So the new norm for primary schools, you'll find that the schools are supported with more interesting facilities. There are redesigned classrooms, performing arts studio, synthetic turf fields, and indoor sports hall to cater for use for the PE teachers when the weather is wet. So the children are very fortunate now. Right, next. There'll be holistic assessment to support learning and development. Right, this is to focus on building a child's confidence and desire to learn. Assessment will be focused on information and learning process. There'll be richer feedback on the child's development for parents. So you get a complete picture of his achievement and progress, right? So it's not just about grades, but teachers giving you feedback about how your child is learning and what are the areas of his strength as well as areas of improvements. Right, next. Right, I always tell my teachers when I was a principal that we need to focus on building the character of our students, because if we don't do that, we might be just educating crooks with no values, right? So we need to focus on character building, and there are 4 outcomes for character building as well as citizenship education. For character building, the outcomes are that children will be able to know herself, know others, do the right thing, and demonstrate resilience. And for the citizenship outcome, it is hope that children will become loyal citizens. They will show care and concern for others and be social, culturally sensitive, be able to reflect on and respond to community, national, and global issues. Right. Now, if you're concerned about your child, especially when you sense that they are not ready to learn and they are not reading, you're concerned that they are not able to follow the lessons in schools, do not worry, because the ministry has introduced learning support programs. It's called the LSP, Learning Support Program. And this is to help the child. Those who are not able to read, have struggles with learning, they will be sent to the learning support program. And there's also another one for mathematics when the children struggle with maths. But these are programs that your child will be sent to only when they are identified. There will be tests conducted to see whether there's a need for your child to attend these programs, right? Thanks. So through the primary education, We want to see our children confident, see them as self-directed learners, active contributors, and they'll become concerned citizens. Right, next. So what's the difference between a preschool and a primary school? I'm sure you all know by now that the learning environment is much larger. There are more students and teachers, longer hours in school. There will be structured timetable and schedule. And your child must learn to buy his or her own food at the canteen. So these are new skills that you might have to teach your child and prepare your child. Right, next. Help your child to know what to expect in school. I want to share with you my experience. You know, when I went to primary one, nobody taught me that there is such a schedule as a recess time. So when my mom gave me some biscuits and a water bottle, I went to class on the first day. And after doing some work, I decided that it's time for recess myself. So I took out my biscuit and my drink and started eating. And then the teacher said, "What are you doing?" I looked at her and said, I'm just eating, you know. But that's not recess time yet. But poor me, I didn't know there was such a thing as recess time. And I started eating on my own. So did I do something wrong? Well, I think my mom didn't prepare me for that. I wasn't told that there's such a thing as recess time in primary one, you know. So that was really funny. So do you need to actually discuss the new routine in schools with your son or daughter? I think it's good, you know, to keep them aware of what's the routine like, what the routine is like in school, right? And if you have the time, you know, you're living nearby in a new school, why not ask for permission to visit the school and then explore the school together with the child, or attend the P1 orientation with the child, because they will be brought by the teachers around the school to be introduced to the different facilities of the school. So that will help the child to understand the kind of school they'll be entering. Right, let your child know who he or she can turn to when he or she needs help. I will share with you with my nephew's experience in the school. He missed the school bus on the first day of school in primary one. So what did this poor child do? He figured out that he didn't have another bus to go up to. So what did he do? He walked home by himself. Oh my goodness. His parents had not taught him how to walk home by himself. But being a very intelligent boy, he figured out how to walk home by himself. And he actually had to cross 2 roads to reach home. When he reached home, he broke down and he cried. And my sister and my brother-in-law were shocked that he could make his way home on his own. Wow, wow, wow. That was really, really frightening. You know, what if he gets knocked down by a car. So it's good to prepare her child, let him or her know that he or she can approach a school adult, maybe go to the office, ask the clerks or the principal or any teacher for help. As a principal, I always tell my children on the first day of school, especially the P1s, in a school, it's like a big family, I said. Your teachers and your teachers are like your fathers and mothers, you know. And so one of the boys raised his hand and said, "How about the principal?" And then another child said, "The principal is the grandfather or grandmother." It was funny, right? And then I was thinking, wow, these children are pretty smart, yeah. So you need to help the children to prepare them to know how to help themselves when they are in school, if you are not there, right? Encourage your child to mix with other children. They must learn how to socialize. Right, next slide. This is something I want to encourage our parents. Please, please, please learn to let go of your child. Let go so your child can learn to be independent. In my experience as a teacher in some of the premier schools like ACS and Rosyth and Fairfield and so on, I find that there are some parents and even grandparents who refuse to let go of the child, and that's not going to help a child to learn to be independent. I shared with you a story of one boy in ACS whom I was really proud of. His only child, father's an engineer living in Bukong Island last time. Shell Company has condos in Bukom Island. And he traveled by himself, from the ferry to the taxi who picked him up and sent him to school and back every day. And this child has grown to be a very confident and independent child. Today, he's a doctor and he's my Facebook friend, right? Very confident. And I'm amazed because he's the only son of the parents. Whereas another boy, let's call him Daniel. Daniel, whenever he climbs up and down the stairs, the grandmother will be standing below and telling him to be careful. Be careful, hold on to the railing, don't let go. And this child will be so nervous walking step by step up the stairs. But what I heard about him later is that when he joined the army, he wasn't doing very well, right? Because he was so dependent on everybody. So learn to let go, all right? So that your child can be independent and be confident about himself or herself. Right, next thing I want you to do is to praise your child for his effort or her effort. Many times we criticize our children and that is not going to help them. It will lower their self-esteem. So praise them. As a principal, whenever I praise the children, oh my, I said, children, the school is spick and span. Give yourself 3 claps. The next day, the school will be better still, and I believe that we need to praise our children to raise the self-esteem, to help them think that they are doing a good job, right? So praise them when they deserve to be praised, all right? Pay attention to your child's needs and fears. Talk to them. I remember a mother telling me that the child seems to be very quiet each time she returns from school in primary 1. And finally, the mother had a talk with her and she said, I don't like school. And mom said, why? Because I can't read. And my friend said, you can't read, you are a loser. And the child was very affected. So I think helping the child to speak up their fears, their anxiety, and how they feel will help them to adapt to the school environment. So this child needed a lot of encouragement. And to cut a long story short, in the end, the child did well, and went to the secondary school. Right. Also make time for fun and play. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So please don't just focus on studying and studying all the time. Help your child to have fun, to have play. This will develop the creativity and their imagination. Right, next. Support your child to primary school by developing their love for learning. Help them to find learning fun, right? Read with your child daily, especially in the lower primary, like what JoBeth has shared. I think she gave very interesting and helpful tips. And I always tell my teachers that if we only get our children excited about reading and become avid readers, half the battle will be won in the education journey. So my advice to you parents is that you must focus on getting your child to read and enjoy reading and become avid readers. So half your battle in the journey in education will be won. Right. Bring your child to the library, as JoBeth said, that's important. Borrow books, not only the English books, but the mother tongue books, so that your child will be effectively bilingual. Okay, next. Help your child to become self-directed in their learning, all right? Emphasize on the learning process. Did you go backwards again or forward? Yeah. Okay, also help the child develop good homework habit and time management skills, right? Help them to know that homework needs to be done. Sit with them, ensure that it's done, and slowly let go and let them manage the time and do it themselves. It can be done, right? And remember to create a conducive environment at home to ensure that he or she has a nice place to study in. Comfortable, not just a aesthetically nice place, a comfortable place. Right. How do you support a child to primary school? You help the child to set realistic and reasonable goals. reasonable because some parents are too demanding. They want a child to only score band 1 or A star. I think we have to look at the capability and the capacity of the child and set reasonable goals so that your child will not be frustrated and discouraged, right? And then set small steps for them to achieve their goals. Emphasize on learning process instead of exam results, right? Help them to learn, to succeed by aiming to achieve small goals and on the process. Avoid comparing performance with another child, like what Jobeth has said. All right, don't panic when the child can read Roald Dahl or Harry Potter when your child can only read very simple books. Every child is different, right? So don't compare. Focus on developing your child's strength. I just attended a recital by one of my ex-students in Southview Primary School. When she came to my school, she was in primary 3. When she was primary 4, she was such a talented pianist that at every concert and musical my school put up, I would get her to play the piano. And she remembered me and she became my Facebook friend. And what she did is she invited me to her recital through YouTube, online view. So she played so beautifully, fantastic, and that's because her mother and her father was really, very, very encouraging. And she did very well, and she is now in NUS and performing at the conservatory. Very, very talented girl. So look at the strength of your child and see how you can develop the strength. Because not every child is a scholar, but every child has a talent, has a gift that you must nurture and help them develop so they can contribute to society. Okay, next. Right, ensure that your child has sufficient sleep, have balanced diet, have unstructured play, and outdoor activities. Not just playing games on the mobile phone. Bring your child to play basketball, something outdoor is going to be helpful to your child. Right, next. Right, I will encourage you to join the parent support group in school because when I was a principal, I had very good parent support groups. And today we are friends. Every time I return from Bangkok, when I was working in Bangkok, they will make arrangement to meet up with me and update me about the children's progress. And their children were all doing very well. So join the support group, right? So that you can help your own children and help other people's children in school. Next, right? Attend seminars, workshop organized by the school, but participate, especially the parent-teacher conference. Talk to the teachers about your child. Ask them good questions like, how can I do more to help my child? Can you suggest ways of helping him improve his mathematics or science? Have a good talk with the teacher. And this will definitely help you to have a child. Do you volunteer in the school programs? I think it's good that you are involved, and then when your children see you in school, they are assured their parents are there to support them, right? So may I encourage you to join the school's parent support group. Next. Okay, I think I'm coming to the end. Some websites that you may want to go into to look out for more information about schools. Go next slide. They have the MOE website, the school bag website, as well as the Facebook. Next. Yeah, you can go next one. Yep, I think that's about all. Okay, thank you so much. And it's a pleasure talking to you. I actually prefer to talk to you face to face. I'm not used to talking to my iPad. Okay.
Yeah, thank you
Right.
so much, Mrs.
Thank
Yeo. We have a very short time, maybe for Q&A for Mrs. Yeo.
Yep.
Yeah, so that she can also leave the meeting if she has to, but really just two questions, while also a few parents may want to take a break because it has been an hour. We're going to have next Mr. Dicky Lim, and it's going to be so important as well for the math part, how to not just prepare a child for P1, but what is required of your child, and even through the primary school journey. So math is so important as well, and in English as well, and also what Mrs. Yeo has shared. Okay, so do stay stay put if you can. If you really need to go, we have the video, but I think live interaction and live stream is really different. Okay, so I encourage parents to stay on for the math, definitely, but let's have 1-2 questions. While some parents, if you need to take a stretch break or just do this figure of 8, this is really good to just go figure of 8. But can I open the chat box or unmute yourself to ask Mrs. Yeo questions? 1 or 2, maximum 2 questions in regards to primary school. So can I invite either Jeff, Marus, Jaya Gopal, Ling, Rani, Vincent, Emily, Tina, Lee, Prudence, amazing to have you with us from Young Minds and also from other places or the live MP Live. Okay, now do you have just 1 questions? If you have, you can put in the chat box or unmute yourself, while the rest of us just take a quick stretch. Yeah. Anyone? I think somebody is unmute. Okay, if you have any question, you can also email to us later on to reach Mrs. Yeo, okay? So thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
I see. Mrs. Yeo, there's one is can you share with us child timetable? We don't have it right now, but if we have any timetable to share. Timetable means maybe at home, right? Home timetable. Prudence is asking. Okay, so if we have any, we'll share with you via email later on, or we can get a bit more detail from you, Prudence, about child's timetable. Okay, so let's jump right straight into Mr. Dickey. You ready? You can share screen. Thank you, Mrs. Yeo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a
Wonderful
great day.
sharing. Yes, thank you. Okay, hold on. I think I'll share. Oh, you want me to share, Dickey? I can share.
Okay, then you share.
Yeah, correct. Just continue from where we were just now. We put it together.
Let me
But
just-
parents, if you have any math question, you can also put it right now. Okay, hold on. Now I can't share. Hold on. Okay, maybe you share because now I'm disabled already.
No, the problem is I don't have the PowerPoint slides. They are with
Okay,
me.
hold on.
Yeah.
So sorry. Okay, now I got it. Okay, you go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you, parents, for taking that time. Yeah, I know it's very, very long already. So I will try to be, just straight to the point. Okay. So let's move on to our next slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, for mathematics, it is actually an evolving math syllabus. Every few years, the people at CPDD actually relook at the math syllabus and changes are being made, okay, because of our evolving, our changing environment. So they actually need to look at it and then customize the syllabus to the new generation of children. Yeah. Now, for mathematics, what you may not know is that it is actually a very abstract subject. Abstract meaning it is not tangible. You cannot actually touch it. Unlike like science, for example, if you are looking at an object, you touch the object, yeah, the children will know that it's an object. But for mathematics, what we are talking about the object is to count the object. Like you have 1, you have 2 of that, you have 3 of that. So it is actually very abstract. And for mathematics, it's been a long time now in which Singapore actually discovered that the best approach is the CPA approach. Now, this CPA actually stands for concrete, pictorial, and then abstract, meaning students will learn best if they are first exposed to concrete manipulatives. That means they physically get to touch them, they get to play with them, and then they will learn from there. And once they are comfortable with that, we move on, we remove the concrete manipulatives and we replace them with pictorial manipulatives. And finally, when they are okay with that, we remove that as well. And then they are literally just solving using just equations. So yeah, we have actually been through that before as well. You will find that in upper primary, some of the students are still using model drawing because model drawing is very pictorial, and pictorial approach actually helps students to understand that better. But by the time they move on to Sec 1, model is literally removed and everything is equations, and so is the algebraic approach. Okay, but at the lower primary, definitely being able to manipulate the objects will help your children understand much better. Now, just now, Mrs. Yeo actually talked about all the different ways of learning. Yeah, and so mathematics also has that. And what is more popular now is like gaming, children learning through gaming. All right, so and I'm sure if your child is very good at playing computer games, there is actually some value there. Okay, but of course, at the young age, you may not be able to see it yet. Yeah. The other thing that you will need to know about mathematics is that learning maths is actually spiral. So when we deliver content, it must be age appropriate. When the children are very young, we cannot throw them very, very difficult concepts because they cannot make sense of it. So it's like in primary 1 when we teach them a square and a rectangle. Children learn them as two separate items. A square is not a rectangle is not a square. But when they grow older, let's say when they come to primary 3, primary 4, yeah, it is more developed. We find that, oh, actually the properties of a rectangle encompasses the properties of a square as well. So all squares are actually rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. Now, this kind of concept is not so easy to teach. And if you force it down a very, very young child, firstly, he's going to get lost. And then he's going to be very miserable because he doesn't know what maths is all about. Okay? Yeah. Let's move on to the next page.
Okay. Vicky, your camera?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you accidentally turned it off. Yeah, if you have any question, parents, please put in a chat box as you go through the slides, or as Vicky goes through the slide.
My camera cannot come on now. I don't know what's the problem.
Okay, no worries. Just try later. Just go on. Thank you. Yeah, but parents, if you have questions, just type in the chat box and then we can answer it later on. Okay, we can see you.
Okay, am I appearing now?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Now, some of the problems and issues relating to maths, they are this. Now, sometimes we as parents, we also try to help our child. So not only the school teacher will be teaching, then as parents, we will also help to teach. Now, at a very basic, very fundamental level, I think it is still quite okay because we are only teaching our children how to count and all the various strategies like there's a count on, I start at this number, then next and next and next. Simple strategies are still all right. But there will be concepts in which some of us, we may not be very certain. And if we were to force it down the throats of our children, they may learn something that is very, very difficult to undo in future. All right. One simple example will be something like division, for example. Let's say at lower primary, when they learn about division, let's say I have 7 divided by 2. Okay, they will learn it as a quotient of 3. That means they have 3 and they will end up with a remainder. Yeah, but when they grow older, we will start to introduce things like, oh, it can be converted into a decimal. It can be converted to a fraction. Now, things like that, at a much younger age, they will not be able to understand that. So if we teach and we just insist that, oh, they have to write their answer with the decimal, for example, they may get confused as well. Yeah. So to unlearn a concept that is wrongly taught especially at an earlier age, right? And then to relearn it actually is very, very much harder. Okay. But if you don't know something and it is new to you and you start learning, that learning process is actually much easier. All right. There are other issues with learning mathematics is because of its abstract nature, uh, some students, they are just not motivated to learn because firstly, they cannot see how useful it is, how important is the subject. Some students are stuck at this part where, oh, the only thing I know about maths and the only thing I want to know about maths is adding and subtracting money because that is the only thing that they see. Okay, and that's the only thing that's relevant to them, but they don't see anything that's relevant when you talk about shapes or you talk about tessellation, because at that point in time it is of no relevance to them. Yeah. Okay, then the other problem is that actually in some schools, maths, okay, lower primary teachers, generally they are specially handpicked. They are carefully selected because they have very, very strong sense of this nurturing and caring disposition, because that is the best in order to actually help children assimilate into the primary school. Yeah, but sometimes these teachers, they have their strengths maybe in English, for example, but when it comes to mathematics, they may not be so strong in it. Okay, so that may pose minor problems. Right, let's look at the next slide then. Can I look at the next slide?
Oh, this?
Okay, all right. Now, the primary one syllabus, right, actually is cut into 3 strands. The first strand is something that we all already know. That's why I didn't put that in, because it's so basic. It means just numbers. Everything has to do with numbers, the counting, the whole numbers, adding, subtracting, that kind. But what else is covered in the primary one syllabus, which some parents may not be aware of, is this second strand called measurement and geometry. Okay, we realize that spatial visualization is very important, and it actually starts very young. So topics that comes under this area will be like mass, length, volume, time, area, two-dimensional, three-dimensional shapes, okay, and their properties. So at primary one, the first thing that they will learn is actually length. But we must also understand that we cannot force a child to count by reading a ruler and be able to read like how many centimeters and so on. That is still very, very difficult for a primary one student. So at that age, they will only learn how to count by using non-standard units. Something like, let's say I give a primary one student some paper clips, and then I give them, maybe I tell them to measure the length of their table. So how many paper clips will that be? That is what we term non-standard units. Okay, for that age, they can only manage that. Okay, then there is this third strand, which is on statistics, which students will also learn, but this is towards the end of their primary one. Okay, and this one has to do with average. It has to do with drawing graphs. So that is also quite difficult for them. But to make it easy, they do not learn line graphs. They do not learn bar graphs yet. They only learn picture graphs. So everything is pictorial. And of course, before that happens, what they do is they actually will have a lot of investigation. They will actually do play with manipulatives and use the manipulatives to form a graph. All right. Okay. Now, as a parent, how can you actually help your child? Actually, the problem with online lessons is that we are now not able to give you the so-called the manipulatives to play with. But okay, we do have virtual manipulatives. So what do I mean by virtual manipulatives? Basically, what we do is now online we have pictures, we can play with the pictures, we can move the pictures so that it functions as well as the real life manipulatives. Okay, and as a parent, because you are always with your child, so you have the capacity to provide your child with real concrete manipulatives. So definitely you can supplement their learning, you can reinforce their learning by using concrete manipulatives at home. Okay, because of course, we all know about this COVID problem, and then children now in the classrooms, group work, it was suspended, but hopefully by next year, if things get better, that will come back in force. But when that is not possible, not not every child actually gets to play with all the manipulatives in a classroom, because resources like that usually they are limited. So it is normally shared in groups. So when group work is not possible, students have to sit independently by themselves. That is where the problem will start. So as a parent, you can help your child by overcoming that, by giving them the manipulatives at home. Yeah. Now, other ways that you can help is you can actually ask okay, you can ask your child questions and you can observe how they answer. All right, and this is what I would like to encourage you also. If you do sign up with us, our teacher Esther, she's very good at asking questions, the way she phrases the questions, and how your child actually will respond to it. So your child can actually respond to the parent. Basically, it will actually tell you a lot of things. Is it because your child doesn't have that language yet, and that's why he or she is not able to understand? Or is it something else, like maybe it is his numeracy problem, because at kindergarten or at nursery, maybe the way he learns how to count is very different, and so he is not able to understand. Yeah. Then, of course, like what Mrs. Yeo has mentioned, yeah, we always try to reward a child so that actually motivates him. It helps to get him to be interested and to continue learning. All right. So, yeah, there are generally two types of rewards. Just giving praises, saying that the child has learned, he's very good. These are all the intrinsic rewards. But you can also give your child gifts. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah. Okay. There are generally two different types of questioning. Now, one is when we repeat the questions, but we just change the numbers. This type of questioning, right, actually helps to develop the mastery of a concept. That means, like, if the purpose is, let's say, to see whether your child knows how to add two numbers together, you will change two numbers, change two numbers, change two numbers. That will actually build up that competency in addition. But sometimes we want to stretch them. So when we stretch them, it has to do with changing one aspect of the story. So what if instead of giving something, I am taking something instead? So when you change a story, that requires interpretation, that requires reasoning from the child already. This is how it stretches the child's faculties. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, as parents, yeah, sometimes when you buy assessment books for your children, you do find that assessment books sometimes they are generally very drill and practice. So just because they have completed the whole book on that does not guarantee that the child actually is able to think deeper, yeah, and able to manipulate the questions, because maybe there are not enough questions that stretch them. Yeah. Okay. Now, like I was saying, our teacher Esther, she's actually a very caring and dedicated ex-MOE teacher. She has many years of experience teaching at the lower and middle primary levels. Her explanations are also very clear, very concise. Okay, so it doesn't go around the bush. Okay, and her choice of words, her vocabulary, they are also tagged to the age appropriate students. So if she's doing a primary 1 class, yeah, she will know that certain words cannot be used and she will not use them to confuse them. Yeah. The other thing is we also know about delivery of lessons. Some teachers speak very fast. I think I'm also guilty of that. But not everybody is able to absorb when somebody speaks too fast. So she's able to pace herself very well. Yeah. Okay, so what we have actually is a primary 1 math Head Start program. This is going to be stretched over 4 sessions, and each session will be 1 hour each. Now, what we have will be a collaboration between the teacher and the parent as well as the child. So, because different children, we understand that some will be at nursery level, some will be at K2, some will be at K1. Some are already ready to go into primary 1, and they will all be in the same program. So there may be certain problems, like let's say if we give you a simple sentence that appears on the slide. Yeah, some children may not be able to read because you have not come up to that point. So when we conduct this session, we are very mindful of that. The teacher will read. We also encourage the parent to guide the child and read along. Then when we have activities for the child to participate in, the child can actually participate and answer by responding to the parent. So we can have the parent as like the judge. So the parent will actually be assessing his or her own child, the response, okay, whether you are getting it correct or wrong. Yeah. So we will have quite a number of activities in that sense. So our 4 sessions generally, because maths starts at level 0 for primary 1. Okay, in MOE schools, we all start at level 0, assuming that the children do not have any background. But we also know, we have actually heard from primary 1 teachers about certain tuition centers, certain nurseries, certain kindergartens. Some are better, some are weaker. So depending on which center your child comes from, some will be very equipped already. Whereas others, I understand, some of them only learn up to numbers up to 20. Okay, yeah. So what we are doing is we will also try to bridge that gap. First session, we will only target up to numbers 1 to 10, but we are moving on into other things like recognizing of numbers when it appears in words, because children are not expected to be able to spell yet when you are entering primary 1. However, by the time they finish their primary 1, they must know how to spell these mathematics words. All right, because if they don't, then they are not able to do any of their assessments. Yeah. So in terms of numbers, our lessons, we will cover things like ordinal numbers. We will cover things like place value. Then we will go into the algorithm as well. Algorithm is for addition and subtraction. So children will actually be exposed to how we can actually arrange the numbers so they are able to add them. And then we will touch a little bit on multiplication and division, because that actually comes as early as even nursery. Imagine your child is able to do skip counting. For example, your child can say, oh, I will count 2, 4, 6, 8. That is actually skip counting, which is the preliminary to multiplication. Yeah. So actually, there are many concepts that are masked and they are taught at very low level for primary 1. But when they go up to primary 2, primary 3, they will learn. They will realize that, oh yes, we actually learned that, and there's actually a name for that. That is called multiplication and so on. Yeah. So yeah, you can see that the 4 sessions basically they are 1 hour. and they are also over the weekends. So I hope you can actually collaborate with your child, hand in hand. We can actually study together. And once your child is very ready, very confident, yeah, we believe your child will enjoy his school life. Yeah. Okay, Andrew, back to you.
Yeah, we will just yeah, answer some questions. Thank you, Vicky, for the wonderful sharing. I think it's amazing value that parents are getting, right? That as you get your child to P1 and also what's expected of your child at P1, P2. Okay, yeah, I know some of you have to leave. Please do. Thank you, Ling. And let me see, there's some questions, right? And one or two have left. No worries. How to teach math to a preschool child from Marius? How to teach math to a preschool child? Digi, would you want to answer that?
Okay, for preschool, actually, MOE does not insist that they learn mathematics. So what we actually get them to do at preschool is, if you want them to learn the numbers, they are learning numbers, and you must actually attach that meaning to some objects. For example, you hold a pencil, and then you can tell the child that this is one. Okay, and then when you hold two pencils, okay, you got to change in sequence, that now it is one, and so it is two. So basically it is to build on in terms of sequencing, because if you don't do that, then your child will be thinking that, oh, why is my daddy or my mommy changing the term from one to two, but what I see is pencil and pencil, it is just pencil. So yeah, that abstract part has to come in when you start to change the quantity for them. Then you repeat by using different types of objects. So now they are saying, oh, I hold one apple, and daddy says it's one. Now daddy is holding one toy car, and he's also saying that it's one. So when you play around with different sets of objects, they will now realize that, oh, you are not telling me that that's my toy car, you are counting it for me. So sequencing is actually one of the primary kind of skills that your child would have to learn first. And the other thing about nursery and kindergarten, we understand that they do not focus on handwriting. Now, actually, handwriting is very, very important. Initially, check on your child's way of holding the pencil, because we have kids who hold the pencil like taking a dagger and trying to stab somebody. So if you allow that to continue at the very basic age, right, when he's first starting out, he will find it difficult to change when he comes to primary one. And at primary one, although there is a writing book for them, not all teachers focus so much on that, because they actually have a lot of other duties to do. So if the focus of a particular teacher is not so much on the handwriting, you will find that your child's handwriting, if it is not already neat, right, the problems your child will face will be, the 6 may look like a 0, yeah, and then the 2 and the 3 may look alike because the 2 curves down as well, that kind of thing. Yeah. Then of course, when we're talking about numbers, this is also the time where once you teach your child how to recognize these symbols, right, when you test your child, you can also see whether your child is writing it wrongly, reverse, because that is a very early sign to indicate dyslexia already, things like that. Yeah, so as a parent, of course, we want the best for our children. So if there's any problems, we want to intervene as early as we can. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Dicky. Any more questions, parents? If not, we're going to end soon. You can also email me at this email address, and even my personal handphone number. You can WhatsApp me. We are more than happy to help. We just want to be really the most credible tuition provider, or one of the most credible tuition and enrichment provider to help parents and children. Okay, so if you really need to speak to us, like in a smaller group, you can just stay behind. If not, we are ending right now, but we're happy to stay for another 5-10 minutes if you need to ask any more questions. And do consider signing up for our Primary 1 Math Prep. Dicky, for K2 and K1 student, is it suitable for even K1 parents for this Math Prep? Should be okay, right? You did mention earlier to be able to join for our P1 program. So this is the first time. Bye, Hugo. Yeah, Wei-Fen. Yes, thank you. So this is the first time at Chur Online. We're going to have this P1 prep program. I think it's going to be wonderful to add value to bond in terms of bonding. You sit with your child to attend this 1-hour lesson, and then the lesson is live stream. It's not just pre-recorded video. And after the live stream lessons, you have access to the video recording as well for 2 months. So you can replay the video several times and help your child to be slightly ahead, so to speak, so that when he or she gets into school, it's like, hey, I learned this last month, mommy, daddy, and I could understand, and that will reinforce the learning. But it's purely and rightfully optional, but I'm very, very sure that it's going to add value to you as a parent and to your child. Okay, any advice? Okay, thank you for Hugo and other parents who need to go, like Ling, Wei-Fen and all that. Thank you. So if you need to go, please do. I just want to give really from Chur Online, staff and Mrs. Yeo, Jobeth and Dicky, to thank you for this session. It's not just us giving the time to you, right? But it's also you taking the 1 hour, an hour and a half to sacrifice your time to join us, and that is, it's not free per se, right? You take time to join us, and thank you so much. Very happy that we are able to add value to the experience and to what you already know. Okay, so thank you so much. But Maurice will just continue to answer the question, and those who want to stay and unmute yourself, turn on the camera for 1 second and say hi, it will be so wonderful. If Maurice, if you can do so, it will be wonderful. Okay, any advice for a multilingual child, 4 or 5 languages at home? Wow. Mrs. Yeo or Dicky, or who can answer this question? In terms of what kind of advice, what do you mean, Maurice? Maybe you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question. Just explain, Maurice. Yeah, it would be wonderful if you can unmute yourself. Just maybe elaborate a bit on your question. Or any other parent. Maurice, are you there? Any advice for multilingual child, 4 or 5 languages, meaning that, English, Mandarin, your own mother tongue language, or your child to learn more languages, or the child is learning 5 languages. So your question would be, okay, goodbye, Dicky. I know you have to run for your class. Okay, so your child is learning 5 languages. So your question would be, any advice for him or her? Correct? Mrs. Yeo, you have any advice? Multilingual. Sorry, can't hear you. And Jaya Gopal, if you have any question, Prudence. And
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Wow, that is very challenging for a child to learn 5 languages, right? But I guess some children are linguists, and if they can pick it up very easily, why not? You should just encourage the child to speak the different languages to the different people who are teaching them the languages. It's fine. But if the child should struggle because he or she has too many languages to learn, then you need to focus on which one you should prioritize so that he will probably do well in school. Okay?
Somebody has to have a predominant, because I think their grandparents, like what Maurice mentioned, their grandparents at home, so there are different dialects, different languages. So the child mixes up the language. Now, maybe some English, maybe some other their own mother tongue, and then the grandparents' languages. So I think you're a bit concerned, right, Maurice, whether will that help your children? So I think like what Mrs. Hill mentioned, it's good to have a predominant language, but yeah, at the same time, I think kids at this age are very versatile. They're able to, learn different languages at the same time. So I think not to get so worried, but certainly for English, for example, if that is the predominant, especially in school, we are using English as the medium of instruction. So I think it's good as parents to speak to your child English or your mother tongue language, these two, take them to the library to read English, to build up the English language skills. I think that would be helpful. Yeah. So 3 languages in one sentence. Understand? Got you. So I think if really English, I mean, we all know it's the medium of instruction at school. It's good to, hone the skill, develop the reading habits, speak good English, so that the rest are more like sub languages or second or third or fourth language. Because whatever it is, English is still the medium of instruction that will take him or her through. Plus, of course, the mother tongue. If dialect is not the one that is going to hold the weight, so to speak, in terms of the academic, then of course don't really have to put in a lot of emphasis. But it's always good to be rooted in your own culture. So continue to speak to the grandparents in the other dialects. But at the same time, you need to put in more effort, for example, or more work into honing and improving the English language and the mother tongue. Yes, you're welcome, Maris. I hope we answer your question.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're almost done. Unless any parent wants to unmute yourself and ask any questions, or in the chat box. If not, I can see some parents are still around. It's already an hour and a half. Have a good weekend. Thank you, Maris. Thank you, Prudence, Emily, Matthias is here, Vincent. Yeah, you have my number and email. Do continue to speak to us. Oh, Emily has one question. Yeah, how much enrichment is recommended to supplement the things school is teaching? So how much enrichment is recommended to supplement the things school is teaching? I reckon it's like when go P1, should I go to tuition, enrichment, math, English, science, not science, we don't have really science at P1. Yeah, what would be your take on this, Mrs. Teo?
Me?
In terms of enrichment.
I think if the child is managing well, I don't think there's really a need for any further enrichment. But if your child is really struggling and is unable to catch up with the lessons, you probably got to think of enrichment to strengthen his or her understanding of that subject or concept. At the same time, some parents like to introduce enrichment so that the child will build his confidence in the subject that he's afraid of, and that actually helps. I have seen children who, when the parents send them for enrichment for, like said, science, and the child improve in the grades and is able to do well, the child becomes a happier student, and that encourages the parents to. I think it's up to you, but I think bear in mind there must be play for your children and not just study all the time. Okay, work and play. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one would definitely be resources, your own financial resources, time. You have to take the kid your child to the center for enrichment. So one is to consider resources. And second, of course, your child. When you get your child to a certain center, go for a trial, listen to your child. If the child is looking forward to it week after week, then probably it's a good place to go to. Or for that matter, let's say Cher Online for this math program, whether he or she likes to continue. So for example, this program, we're only having it at 4 sessions to have a try before you all want to continue for the whole of P1. So again, whether you see it's good to have a head start, plus in enrichment centers, usually parents cannot join in. So for online, the parent is being educated as well. Then you are equipped to coach your child. So that's the beauty of live stream online and then recorded. And then it's also at the comfort of your own home. So whether is it live stream online or at a brick and mortar center, listen to your child, whether he wants it or not in the first place. And then when he gets in, he wants to continue even after the first or the second session. Yeah, so there are a lot of things to consider, but it's always good to get some help if you want to, if you can, but moderate. And also like what Mr. Seo said, playtime, fun, taking him out to the parks, go
Yes.
out to the outdoors. So it's not always just enrichment, school, learning.
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. I think we can end right now. I don't see any more questions, but there are still a few of you around. Yes, welcome, Emily. Thank you, Prudence, and every one of you, Vincent, Matthias. So I'm going to end this session. So do check us out at Cher online. The word comes from teacher, okay, Cher, C-H-E-R, Cher online. Thank you, parents. Goodbye.